So the next flavor I'm going to discuss from a traditional Chinese medicine viewpoint is salty. So salt is something that, like sugar, we tend to have in excess or have a tendency towards having too much of, but it's something that wasn't as readily available in history. And it is something that we tend to like, and it's because our bodies need salt. The word salary actually comes from the word salt, so we can see its value there. However, too much salt can cause a lot of problems, in particular issues with high blood pressure. Part of that is that we, as I mentioned, have a real like for salt, and too much sodium. So salt is sodium chloride, and too much sodium in our diet can elevate blood pressure. Part of the reason might be a relationship between too much salt or sodium versus potassium, because while salt can increase the blood pressure, potassium can relax the blood vessels and help to diminish the pressure within the vessels, decreases the blood pressure. Salt has other values as well, in that it can be used to make fermented foods, and as well it's been used historically and still used today to help preserve foods. So from a traditional Chinese medicine standpoint, salt flavor is helpful for softening lumps and areas of accumulations. So things like cysts and lumps, things like that, it would help to soften that. It can also nourish blood and moisten dryness. So if somebody has a lot of, for example, skin issues where they've got a lot of dry, itchy, flaky skin, they may be told that a little bit of salt foods, in particular, not necessarily adding salt to their diet, but choosing salty foods, which I'll discuss in a little bit, might be helpful for them. As well, it's also used traditionally to lubricate the intestines and purge the bowels. So if somebody's got major issues that direction, some foods might be recommended for that. So the salty foods, so first of all, a lot of things from the sea are helpful for, they're rich in salt. So the sea vegetables, so that would be things like seaweeds, like dulse, kelp, bladderwrack, nori, what's used to wrap sushi in. So those are all rich in salt, and they're also rich in a lot of other minerals as well. So while you want to be mindful of not using too much, they're great to add to things like when you add them to soups or stews, it adds the natural saltiness to the thing that you're cooking. Other things would be seafoods like the shellfish, like shrimp, like clams, mussels, oysters. Those are also salty. As well, ham and pork are also have a salty flavor to them. There are a few grains that also have saltiness to them. So those would be things like amaranth, millet, barley. And then, of course, things like miso and soy sauce are also salty in flavor. And pickled vegetables as well. So if you, as I mentioned before, if you're fermenting foods, salt is used for that. Pickled vegetables are also salty naturally in flavor. So there are healthy ways to add salt to your diet, and if you are adding salt, then you may not need to do it. If you're adding it in your cooking, you may not need to add it at the end when you go to eat your food. So just know that there are some healthy benefits to eating salt, while you also want to be mindful of not going overboard.